Yo, what's up fam? Welcome to the channel. If this is your first time here, hit that like button and subscribe. We'd love to have you in the squad. The US Navy unleashes hell, bombs Houthi targets. Alright, so here's the deal. The Red Sea. Yeah, that one. It's one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world. But now, things are getting real sketchy off the southeast coast. That's where the Houthis are hanging out, and they're real into taking shots at ships. It's gotten tough out there, even for the US Navy and its allies who've been cruising those waters trying to keep international trade flowing. But dealing with the Houthis? That's easier said than done. These guys got backing from Iran, which means they've got access to a whole arsenal of drones. And we're not just talking about spy cams, we're talking pigs breaking drones, and those fancy Samad drones that can smack targets from like 930 miles out. Since the Houthis basically run western Yemen, they can launch those bad boys deep into the Red Sea, right where trillions of dollars worth of trade moves every year. So yeah, that's the problem. What's the solution?
Just shooting down the drones ain't cutting it. They're fast, sneaky, and traditional missile defense isn't always up to the task. Guided missiles, super expensive and not always effective. But here's the trick. You can bring down drones without ever touching them, just cut off their signals and they drop like a rock. That's where jamming tech comes in. And these jammers come in all shapes and sizes. Some of the big boys are on board US Navy ships chilling in the Red Sea.
Take the USS Mason, for example. She was sweeping for drones out there from November 2023 to March 2024. And get this, she took care of that drone threat without firing a single round. Not bad, right? But Mason wasn't alone in the fight. One of the gnarliest incidents went down on February 19, 2024, when sailors on the USS Gravely took out a swarm of Houthi drones. Those late 2023 and early 2024 missions? Kinda like a test run. Navy docs later said those months were like the blueprint for how the whole fleet could use electronic counter-drone systems. And man, it worked. The Navy's been tight-lipped about the exact gear they used, but destroyers like the Gravely are rocking the AN/SLQ-32, or Slick 32 as it's called. It blasts out a wall of electronic noise that jams enemy missile guidance systems. It's like techno-warfare on steroids. The whole non-kinetic, read no missiles needed, drone defense plan worked so well that sailors on the Mason and Gravely actually got combat praise for their efforts. But that's not the only way the Navy's taken down these drones.
Enter the EA-18G Growler. Looks like a regular Super Hornet, but don't be fooled. This bad boy is all about electronic warfare. Built by Boeing, it's basically the world's most advanced airborne electronic attack platform. It messes with enemy signals while keeping friendly comms safe. And yeah, they've been using Growlers to mess with Houthi drones too. Those Growlers come packing tactical jamming pods, powerful enough to scramble even tiny frequencies that could trigger IEDs. So yeah, bet your boots, those jets are jamming the crap out of Houthi drones. But don't sleep on the Growler's bite. It ain't just for jamming. In July 2024, a Growler scored its first ever air-to-air kill with a direct AIM-120 missile strike. Boom, down goes the drone. That same mission also saw 2 successful air-to-ground hits using AGM-88 HARM missiles, taking out radar systems. So yeah, electronic warfare, totally working.
By February 2025, U.S. forces had shot down close to 500 Houthi drones over the Red Sea. But here's the kicker, the cost of keeping that up? Insane, and there's no real end in sight. These drones are pushing the Navy harder than it's been pushed since World War II. That's straight from U.S. Navy brass and security experts talking to the Associated Press. And if you look at the ships, you can see the toll. The missile launch containers on Arleigh Burke-class destroyers have been used so much the freaking paint is scorched off them. Sometimes sailors have literally seconds to react before the next drone or missile hits. Things got so intense, the U.S. Navy launched more air defense missiles in the 15 months between October 2023 and March 2025 than they did in the entire 30 years since Desert Storm. One wild example, on January 9, 2024, Sailors aboard the USS Laboon had to take out 18 drones, 2 anti-ship missiles, and a freaking ballistic missile all in one day. And the Houthis? Oh, they've got plenty more where that came from. By early 2024, Yemen's forces were sitting on a stockpile of missiles like the A-1 Mandab 1S and Rubs cruise missiles. So yeah, the fight's real, the tech is wild, and the Navy's locked in.
Now it's in Houthi hands, and it's getting wild. Alright, so here's the sitch. The Houthis are now armed with missiles that have ranges of 24.8 and 49.7 miles, and that's just the beginning. They've also got their hands on some Iranian-made cruise missiles, the Siad and the Quds Z0, which can hit targets up to 497 miles away. Yeah, that's serious range. But it doesn't stop there. These guys have all kinds of ballistic missiles too. One of them, the Moet, is basically an old Soviet SA-2 surface-to-air missile that's been modified into something a lot more advanced, with a range of about 21 miles. Then there are the phallic and tank missiles, which can hit targets nearly 280 to 310 miles out, courtesy of Iran, either directly or by giving them the blueprints. Nobody really knows how many missiles the Houthis actually have, but it's enough to cause chaos whenever they feel like it. On March 17, 2025, they claimed they rained down on the aircraft carrier USS Harry Truman for 7 straight hours, hitting it with a mix of ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and drones. And honestly, that wasn't even out of the ordinary compared to other action going down in the Red Sea. The Houthis have a crafty tactic. They launch swarms of cheap disposable drones to wear down defenses before bringing in the heavy hitters. It's like a boxer throwing a bunch of quick jabs before landing a knockout punch. The Navy's got a problem, though. They can't just fire off expensive air defense missiles every time a wave of drones shows up, or they'll run out before the real threats arrive. And that's exactly what the Houthis want, overwhelm them with numbers. But here's the dilemma. Even those small drones can do a ton of damage, and relying only on electronic warfare to stop them doesn't always cut it. Troops at Tower 22 in Jordan learned that the hard way on January 28, 2024. With no kinetic, physical defenses available, they got hit by enemy drones. 3 soldiers lost their lives, and 47 more were injured. So what can U.S. Navy sailors do? One option, go old school.
That 5-inch main gun on Arleigh Burke-class destroyers? It's back in style. People used to think ship guns were obsolete in the age of smart missiles, but when you're up against cheap, fast drones, sometimes simple is better. The Navy's been using those cannons to shoot down Houthi drones, and it helps that each round is way cheaper than a missile. But there's another reason old-school guns make sense. Houthi drones are nimble. They fly low, and sometimes so close to the ship that missiles can't even lock on. So, the Navy goes manual and blasts them up close, even though they'd prefer not to. Still, you can't shoot down everything with guns and jammers. Missiles are still necessary to deal with the never-ending swarm. Remember the Growler jet using an AEM-120 to take down a Houthi drone? That's just one example. Since the operation kicked off, the Navy's launched nearly 400 missiles. That includes 120 SM-2s, 80 SM-6s, 20 Evolved Sea Sparrow missiles, ESSMs, plus a few SM-3s. Now let's talk money. SM-2 around $2.5 million each. SM-6 about $4.3 million. SM-3 anywhere from $12.5 to $28.7 million a pop. Yeah, that ain't sustainable. So mid-2024, the Navy switched it up. Started using cheaper options like AM-9 Sidewinders and Hellfires. Hellfire, around $150,000. Sidewinder about $500,000. Better, but still expensive when you're trying to shoot down $2,000 DIY drones all day.
So what's next? Well, now we're looking at Silicon Valley. That's right, the US Department of Defense wants in on that tech hub life. That's why they set up the Defense Innovation DIU back in 2015, right in the heart of Cali Techland. And in June 2024, DIU sent out an urgent call to private companies. We need a kinetic drone killing solution, fast. Something that could take down medium-sized drones, around 330 pounds, and be ready in 12 months, but for way less money. One important note, they said no lasers, not yet anyway. The goal? Build a layered, affordable defense system for US Navy ships. If jamming fails, the next best thing should not be an 8-figure missile. This whole mission is part of Operation Prosperity Guardian, launched in December 2023 to protect global shipping from this new wave of high-tech pirates. But critics say the effort hasn't done enough to actually stop the Houthis, or hoodies, as some folks are starting to call them, especially not with a cost-effective defense system. If the US Navy and its allies want to win this, they're going to need a smarter, cheaper way to knock out these endless drone waves. So here's the real question. Can DIU actually deliver an effective, affordable, kinetic drone killer by June? Guess we'll find out soon enough.
Thanks a ton for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any updates. Here at X News, we're all about keeping it real and bringing you the latest unbiased news. See you in the next video. Take care, fam.